Today marks 1750th day of day lessons, day reflections. Today is an interesting day. It's only 250 days left till it will be 2000, a massive milestone that I'm looking forward to it. And I was thinking that I said that only 250. At the beginning, when I started, 250 seems so big, but now after 1700, 1750, at 250, it seems such a small thing. There's 1/8 of the journey that I already did. And today I was thinking about different seasons. And I really want to speak about that. Don't judge an apple tree in winter. Don't judge an apple tree in winter. What I mean by that is that apple tree who produce a massive amount of fruit in the summer will not produce anything. Even leaves will fall, and it will look such a tree without nothing. And I think that we need to understand that people are the same way. They go through seasons, and sometimes they produce, and sometimes they are in winter. And if we will start to blame that person because he doesn't produce, I think that we will make a massive mistake potentially, because maybe they are a very, very, very good tree who produces massive fruits, but not in this season. So we'll share 7 things that we're able to reflect on regarding this topic. So number one, a dormant season is not necessarily a dead season. It's interesting because when I think about um, a lot of growth that people need to do is not visible. And I really love example of an egg. An egg has a shell, and in that shell there is so much going on. So before the chick is getting out of the egg, there's so much happening in that egg to develop, to grow, to improve before it becomes a chick. And I think that that's people are the same thing, that when you think about the tree that in a season of winter is that it's restore itself, it builds deeper roots, it grows up, it expands things sideways. That means it expands, even though that it seems that okay, it removes all the things from the summer, removes all the leaves, removes everything, and the focus is just on the core things. That means that growing up, growing maybe sideways, and going roots, and that's it. That's all the things that they're focusing on. But those will be extremely important during the fruit season, because now, because it developed, grew, improved the tree. Now that makes it next season it will be able to produce more fruit than before, because the roots are stronger, the branches are bigger and stronger, and that's extremely important. And most people don't see it because trees are growing slowly. And I think that people need to understand that sometimes we will spend time reading, reflecting, healing, rebuilding our discipline, and people will not see it. And those are the where we actually develop our roots, develop our foundations, develop our branches, and those are extremely, extremely important. And if you judge a person based on fruit alone, and you don't judge what they're doing in this winter season, that could lead to wrong decisions about a person. Number two, you cannot accurately judge potential from a single season. It means if you look into the tree and have a snapshot of biography, like if you look into the last 2 months, how did they perform last 2 months? It's very, very, very hard to really have a proper gauge of this person, because we need to look into years of performance, because in a year, I understand that every single person has a little bit different season. Some seasons could be months, some season could be even years. Like Reef season could be a year or even two. It depends on how long a season is before. So we really need to look into, be much more aware that we're not supposed to judge a person based on a very short snapshot. And sometimes we can say that, okay, like I don't want to communicate with this person in this season because this season seems that we are misaligned. But let's look into, let's wait. Let's not judge this person based on who they are. Let's just, okay, this season of their life is for themselves. And I will give them. I will give them their season, because sometimes people come back after the season that they needed to be on, my solitude season, and that's totally fine. And that's the thing that we need to be extremely open to understanding that different people have different seasons, and we need to allow them to stay in a season until they will get out. And that moment, so that I allow them to be in this season, but they will change the seasons. Maybe then we will reconnect because we will be in the same season. Because sometimes when two people going and one person already moved to another season, that other one person stays in one season that season before. So now there is a misalignment. But this grows and it still stays in the season, and then maybe this person comes in the season as well, and now they reconnect again, and this is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Number three, winter reveals whether you actually have roots. Some days this season could be extremely difficult on other people to believe that you're actually a good person, and it could be difficult for your own reason, because you say, "Oh, I always want to produce fruit." There's no that's no. There's nothing that always produce fruits. There's always some kind of season that you're not able to produce fruit. So when there is a winter, when you remove all the non-essentials, all the leaves, all the fruits, and there is you on your own, bare wood, and that's it. Do you actually quit yourself and really say that there's nothing going on? I'm not producing anything. So I probably will not read, I will not develop myself, I will not invest in my health, I will not develop myself into a better person. I will wait until I will produce fruit before I develop myself. And that's exactly the question is because a person who understands seasons will say, okay, this is my season. This is a season where I actually don't get any fruit whatsoever. And maybe I will not invest in my energy in trying to really produce fruit when I'm in a winter. Maybe I will really actually focus on journal more, spend more time by myself. Maybe you always been by yourself. Maybe we'll spend more time with people to do something opposite what you always used to do. And this is I think that one of the best advices during winter season, doing opposite what you used to do. Put yourself in the different positions. Expose yourself to different things. Because winter will reveal, do you actually during winter do the right thing? Or do you quit and wait for things to get better? And that's the massive one. Because successful people doing do the work even during winter. Most likely internally, sorry, not internally, externally, but still that is even sometimes more important because they develop roots within themselves to really, and those roots will be extremely helpful during the summer. Because I learned that the person is actually measured not by the good days, but the bad days. Because a bad days sometimes person becomes extremely inconsistent and loses momentum and loses everything. Number four, comparing your winter to someone else's summer is insanity. So now if we look into other person, different seasons produce different visible results. And I think that one thing that we need to understand that sometimes even when we are apple tree, we produce different kind of fruits. Those fruits are not visible. For example, like if you read, reflect, journal, grow, heal, develop it in, that means the fruits will be emotion regulation. Most people will not see it because they're not able to see within you, but you can see those emotions, those fruits that you became very much more peaceful, much more blissful, much more content, less reactive. And at that moment, it's like this is massive fruits that I was able to develop during winter. And I think that we need to look into that when we really look into just external comparisons, another person who is in summer and they produce so much things and new in winter, and sometimes you could put them on guilt and shame and blame and all those negative emotions because you compare wrong things. We can really look at it like how did they perform during their winter? Because sometimes when you compare your winter, the season of reflection, the season of solitude, with someone else producing summer, it's misalignment. But sometimes when you really compare the same person, your winter and their winter, you will understand that you are outperforming the person who actually was outperforming you when the seasons was misaligned. Number five, but don't use winter as excuse forever. Winter is a season. It's a season. So that means that if we say that I'm not doing the work, and again, the question is like why the winter came. Sometimes you can do all the time the work, but external circumstances put you in a venture. For example, you lost loved one, you lost brother, you lost mother, you lost. There's so many people love. Like, there's so many things that you can potentially lose. That's just one example. Business got bankrupt. Like something happened massively, and now because of that, it pushed you in a season of more reflection, more journaling, more inner work, and then you end up in that season, and we're not supposed to stay there for a long time. This is just a, and again, where you say that I don't put on myself identity of survival. I just happen to experience something that I needed to survive, and that's a huge difference. And that's why it's like, do I actually do the work? Because if we scroll on Instagram and rather than reading a book, reflecting, maybe we're not in a winter season, maybe we are in a summer season where, and we rather than doing something and really producing fruits, maybe we just wasting our good season. Because it might be that you say, oh, I don't produce fruit. So maybe I'm in a winter season. And that's a could be, but there's a lot of chances that you are in the summer season. Everything in your life is potentially great, but because you choose to scroll, you choose to allocate your time in the wrong things, you don't produce. And again, the question is like, if everything is fine for you, and you could potentially do everything what you choose to do, and there's nothing holding you back, only you personally, maybe you're in the summer season, but you don't produce anything because this is just your choice. Number six, you should judge the tree by its trajectory, not just current appearance. It's interesting when you look at a tree. Sometimes look at like the tree is quite small, and then like I said, oh, this tree is quite small, so like probably it will not produce too much of the fruit in the future. But we need to look into it and compare sometimes that the same tree. Like, how did this tree grew in the last year, in the last 5 years? When you look into the trajectory and compounding of their growth, you realize that wow, if this happens for next 10 years, this tree will be such a massive producer. And I'm thinking of the same person as well. It's not where you start that matters. I always used to love the saying that it doesn't matter how small you start, but what matters how big you finish. The end is better than beginning. And that's why we able to say like it doesn't matter where you start, what matters how you finish. And we not judge purely just where the reality is, even though that is extremely important to understand okay, where is the starting point, but to be able to look into where is already moving that. Is that changing or is staying there? Because if it's staying there, that's not nice. That's not good. But if it's already moving and you see the gap filling between future tree and our future person and now, that's a beautiful thing. Last one, number seven, is your job isn't to prove you are an apple tree during winter. Because it seems like it could be easy. It's like, like a person say, like, oh, you don't produce anything. You just a random tree, maybe a Christmas tree, fake tree. And I think that we can try to focus on really proving other people and try to really produce fruit during winter. But I think that it's much more important to really during that season to really develop, as I said, internal fruit for yourself. Nobody for nobody else. We not need to prove anything to anybody. And I learned that is not an easy lesson to learn. And I think that one for me specifically, that every single person has a different journey to do. But for me, I realized that what I finally was extremely comfortable and extremely content by being by myself in solitude and experience and have joy by doing that. I learned that there is no judgment, no nothing. At the moment, you can pursue anything, and you don't do anything for other person. You do it for yourself, and that means that you doesn't matter what kind of season you are in. You're not looking to prove anything. You are taking advantage of the season rather than really hoping that you would be in different seasons. Sometimes you're giving yourself a chance to stay longer in the season, and it's like, okay, maybe I will try to push or see, and then it's like, okay, I think that it's still I'm in a different seasons, so I've allowed that season to really change by itself. I do the work. The most important part, I do the work and allow the season to change. And I think that that's a beautiful thing because we need to allow the season to do the work and what needs to be done in that season. Because the fruits will come if you just allow seasons come and go on their own. The most important part is to choose to do the right things at the right time and know the difference. Of course, that's where the wisdom comes. to know the difference. So I hope you reflect as well and asking always what season I'm in. And I do, however, judge myself for not producing when I'm actually in the wrong season of production and I really need to produce not externally but internally. And that's a huge thing. Because if you don't produce internally during winter, when the summer comes, even success will not be as joyful, as blissful, as contentful as it could be otherwise. So I hope you choose to win and see you tomorrow.